One year, he was the future, the chosen one. The kind of generational talent that made the NFL look easy and had an entire franchise printing Super Bowl tickets. Then, one playoff game later, he looked broken, second-guessing every move, like someone's traumatized by their own success. Welcome to the most brutal reality in professional sports. The sudden, catastrophic, did I just witness a career die before my eyes? Collapse. And we're starting with the quarterback who was supposed to be the chosen one, until his knee exploded on national television and took his confidence, his career, and his sanity with it. Robert Griffin III was supposed to be the chosen one. In his rookie season, RG3 threw for 3,200 yards and 20 touchdowns, rushed for 815 yards and 7 more scores, won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and took Washington to the playoffs for the first time in forever. He wasn't just good, he was electric. The kind of player defenses couldn't figure out, making the NFL look easy. ESPN was ready to build a statue. Washington fans were printing Super Bowl tickets, and RG3 was the future. Then came January 6, 2013, in a wildcard playoff game against Seattle. RG3's knee was already hurt, and everyone knew it. He was limping, couldn't plant, could barely run, and any sane coaching staff would have pulled him out. But Washington kept him in, and we all watched his career collapse in real time. In the fourth quarter, RG3 dropped back, planted his leg wrong, and his knee exploded like someone had detonated a small bomb inside his joint. ACL and LCL torn to shreds. The injury was catastrophic, but the recovery was somehow worse. Griffin came back in 2013 trying to return to the glory days, but his mind had other plans. His confidence was shattered into a million pieces, and RG3 was hesitant, scared to take hits, looking like a deer in headlights wearing a football uniform. Washington's coaching staff didn't help either. They gutted the read option offense that made him special and tried to turn him into a pocket passer when his entire game was built on mobility and improvisation. It was like asking a sports car to be a minivan. By 2014, RG3 was benched. By 2015, he was barely playing. By 2016, Washington cut him loose like he was expired milk. He tried comebacks with Cleveland and Baltimore, but he looked like a shell of himself. So, Robert Griffin III went from Offensive Rookie of the Year to backup quarterback to stay-at-home dad in less than 5 years. All because one playoff game destroyed his knee, murdered his confidence, and ended what should have been a Hall of Fame career. But if you think watching someone's knee explode is brutal, the next player beat cancer like a superhero, then had his body give up on him like a villain's revenge plot. Eric Berry was one of the best safeties in football. 5 Pro Bowls, 3 first-team All-Pros, the kind of player who changed offensive game plans and made quarterbacks check where he was before every snap. Then in 2014, Berry was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and everyone thought his career was over since his life was in danger. But Eric Berry is built different. He fought back, went through chemotherapy like a warrior, and beat cancer. Berry returned to football in 2015, made the Pro Bowl again, and mounted one of the most inspiring comeback stories in NFL history. Then 2017 happened. Week 1, Berry tore his Achilles tendon, and his season was over. In 2018, he came back, but looked slow. Couldn't cover like he used to. Couldn't make the same plays, and the explosion was gone. In 2019, he played in only 2 games before getting hurt again, as his body was falling apart. By 2020, the Chiefs released him. Nobody else signed him, and his career was over at 31. Berry's fall wasn't about effort or giving up. It was about his body betraying him. The cancer treatment and the injuries took away the speed and explosion that made him elite. He went from all-pro to unplayable in 2 injury-plagued seasons because his body just couldn't keep up anymore. But if you think destroying a body is tragic, wait until you hear about the fastest man in football who held out for more money, showed up out of shape, then watched his football superpowers evaporate like they were never even there in the first place. Chris Johnson was a glitch in the game. In his second NFL season, CJ2K, the running back also known as a freight train from hell, rushed for 2,006 yards, averaged 5.6 yards per carry, scored 16 touchdowns, and won Offensive Player of the Year. The man had 4.24 speed and made defensive backs look like they were running through cement. Every carry was a potential 80-yard touchdown, and every touch had defenders checking their GPS wondering how he got behind them so fast. Then 2011 rolled around. Chris Johnson decided to make the worst decision of his career. He held out because he wanted to be the highest paid running back in football, refused to show up to training camp, and skipped all the OTAs. He sat at home like an entitled couch potato while his teammates prepared for the season. Johnson was thinking about his bank account while his body was thinking about donuts and Call of Duty. When he finally showed up after getting his money, he was out of shape, slow, and heavy, looking like he'd spent the entire offseason eating at every buffet between Tennessee and Florida. And suddenly, the fastest player in football rushed like he was running through quicksand. In 2011, he only put up 1,047 yards, down from 1,364 the year before, and his yards per carry dropped as his explosiveness vanished, like someone had flipped the speed switch to optional. But here's the tragic part. He never got it back. Ever. Skip to 2013 and he managed a measly 1,077 yards, averaging 3.9 yards per carry again. The explosive runs were gone. The home run threat disappeared. And you could have switched in a 7-Eleven cashier and nobody would have known the difference. In 2014, the Titans released him. He bounced around the league like a basketball and nobody wanted to catch, and eventually, he retired at 31. So what happened? The holdout destroyed his conditioning, and he never recovered. But also, NFL defenses figured out that if you force him to make people miss in tight spaces instead of hitting the edge, he was just another dude with a number on his jersey. But if you think losing speed after eating too many sandwiches is bad, wait until you hear about the quarterback who threw 5 interceptions in one playoff game and never emotionally or mentally recovered from the trauma. Jake Delhomme took Carolina to Super Bowl 38, and for the next 5 years, he was a solid starting quarterback. Not elite, not spectacular, but good enough to float a mediocre team through a forgettable season. Then came the divisional playoff game against Arizona on January 10, 2009, where he threw 5 interceptions, each one more baffling than the previous. Carolina got destroyed 33-13, and something inside Jake Delhomme just snapped. In the 2009 season, he threw 18 interceptions in just 11 games. The word on the street was that Delhomme had lost his accuracy, his confidence, and his ability to function as an NFL quarterback. Carolina benched him. He tried a comeback with Cleveland in 2010, but looked even worse, becoming the real-life embodiment of the yips. So he retired immediately after. But if you think mental collapse is sad, the next receiver forgot how to catch touchdowns and somehow made 0 sound like a normal stat. Dwayne Bowe was a touchdown machine in Kansas City. From 2007 to 2013, Bowe was one of the most productive receivers in football, with multiple 1,000-yard seasons and 15 touchdowns in 2010 alone. The kind of reliable red zone target that every quarterback dreams about having. Then, 2014 hit like a meteor full of drop passes and broken dreams. Bowe played all 16 games that season, caught 60 passes and had 754 yards. Decent numbers, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. He had 0 touchdowns. Not one. Not a single time did he cross that white line with the ball in his hands. A receiver who used to average double-digit touchdowns suddenly couldn't find the end zone if it had a neon sign and a GPS tracker attached to it? How do you play 16 games as a starting wide receiver and not score once? That's not bad luck. That's a curse. That's the football gods making it personal. But wait, it gets so much worse. In 2015, Bowe signed with the Cleveland Browns on a big contract for a fresh start with a new team, new quarterback, and new opportunities. He caught 5 passes all season. 5 in 15 games. You could count his receptions on one hand and still have fingers left over. Sort of. Then, he just retired. Done at 31 years old, not even trying to fight back. What happened? Some people say he lost all motivation after getting paid, while others say years of catching passes from terrible Kansas City quarterbacks broke his spirit. Whatever it was, Dwayne Bowe went from elite receiver to completely washed in one season and never attempted a comeback. Now, if you think career collapses are depressing, wait until you see what happens when aging superstars get absolutely desperate for one last championship. I'm talking about Hall of Fame legends abandoning the teams that loved them, signing with bitter rivals they once hated, and humiliating themselves on national television in pathetic, cringe-worthy attempts to get a ring before Father Time catches up. Check out the most embarrassing NFL ring-chasing attempts you've ever seen.